What we do here is go back.
Hi, I'm Rob Schneider.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Matt McAndrew. Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Oakley.
And I'm Corey Cool.
Hi, I'm Martha Madison.
This is Slink Johnson, a.k.a. Black Jesus, b.k.a. Godzilla Lungs.
Hello, I'm Eric Roberts.
Yeah, what's up? This is Craig Wayans.
Hi, this is Brad Williams, and as you can tell, I have never gotten high.
Speedy Don.
And I am the fabulous Stephen King.
What's good? It's your boy Marcus Park, man. We keeping it lit.
I'm Money B.
Hey, I'm John Sally.
What's up, y'all? This is Crazy Bone in the building.
It's your girl Shantae Wayans. It's your favorite DJ, DJ Spark.
And it's your boy Street Symphony.
And you're watching Z
Hollywood TV.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically naughty. I'm never politically correct. Dr. Drew, hi. Oh, I'm so.
Hey guys, how are you?
It's all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously, if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked in, you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m.
Hey there, party people. How y'all doing? We're here on Grand Theft Audio Radio. This is Jake Belcher. I am not with my normal co-host this week. Brant is on special assignment today doing something with the ESPYs. Hopefully we'll have a fun report back for us next week. I do have joining me in studio, though, the original Grand Theft Audio co-host. This gentleman and I started this venture together in, I guess, like 2007?
9, I thought. Well, 7 practicing, yeah.
Sure, but we were actually, this looks like part of Jason Stewart's sign is falling down behind you. Sorry. On my show, I like to advertise other shows that are going on. So you can see over Carl's shoulder that we have a show here called Absolutely Jason Stewart. He was actually on our old venture together, too.
Yes, he was.
And another show, Lifestyle Buzz. So you can catch those here on the various Zina.tv T-Radio Vs. But we're on Zina.tv, and I'm here with Carl Kozlowski.
All right. How you doing, folks?
Zina.tv, the name that shall stand the test of time, as I like to say. How are you doing this week, Carl?
Just fine, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Wonderful.
So, obviously, terrible week.
I mean, bad news.
Yeah, man. There's not been a lot of good stuff happening in the news recently. Everything's been bad. I want to start off with the worst thing, just because I think it deserves the most, holy shitness. The shooting in Houston of the police. Dallas. Yeah. Sorry, man. Texas, it's all the same damn thing.
Yes.
Here's what I know is that some guy decided that he was going to get revenge against the police and kill some cops. Like white cops.
Kill some white cops.
Kill some white cops. Like that was going to make some grand difference in the world. I don't understand what the mentality is when you're standing with a gun. Like, okay, I'm gonna shoot this first guy. Then people are gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, this guy's done the right thing, man." Like, there's no good ending in it to me. So I don't understand the logic behind it. But I guess I don't have to, right?
Well, a couple of things I thought were weird out of this week was that they come out after the fact to try and figure out his motive, and they're saying, "Oh, he was tossed out of the military for being sexually obsessed and bothering women," and then there was something about he kept raiding panties. And I'm like, okay, was this true? Or is this like part of the whole, hey, let's shame this guy and just totally humiliate an asshole after he's dead?
I think there was a lot of let's shame and humiliate him. I don't know that they know what to do with this one. Hey, look, people who watch me know I am not a overall believer in all conspiracies, but I believe that this event actually did happen as opposed to a couple of the other things we've been sad about recently, which we've talked about on the air here. I'm not going to talk about it every week. But, I really feel like a lot of sorrow in this one because I think that someone actually was really mad and they decided that this was the best way of, getting rid of that anger was to go shoot people. And I really believe this one actually happened. I think that because we actually see like cell phone footage of it, other things around it, that you don't see from these other events. But anyways, terrible week.
Well, then the other weird...
But I do think that it was kind of... the conspiracy side of Jake is always like, well, what the fuck? This totally made everybody forget about Hillary Clinton. I mean, it seems like a ultra convenient time for her to have the FBI come out and say, "Oh, look, she's a cheater and a liar," and you can watch all this stuff. They did not paint her in a good picture at all.
It's not a hey, she's gonna be a great president mode. No,
it was more like you shouldn't trust this lady to have like the key to your house at all. I mean, because she was like she's just let someone else have it.
Yeah. You want to clean your sheets after if Bill gets to house sit. That's the point.
Because that story that came out today where there's an FBI agent who's like, so we saw it go down. We saw the deal happen on the plane. Like we were there, and he offered her the attorney general position moving forward in exchange for not having charges against his wife. And
agents are admitting this now. Do they want to live?
Goodbye, Jason. You just fell off the wall, but we'll replace you later. Sorry, Jason. Your show is better than that, and I apologize for letting the sign for it drop to the ground. Anyways, no, these guys are coming out under like, they're hiding behind. I don't want to say where our address is. They're hiding behind things and being secretive.
Where did this report come out? I didn't hear this one.
I saw it on Facebook like right before I left, man. I'll look it up during the break and I'll see.
I find it delightful, but I don't know. But the other one is what? Okay, the other crazy loser of the week was that woman, former Miss Alabama or Teen Alabama, who came out and called the guy a martyr.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I'm surprised people are hating on me." Why?
Maybe a choice of words there. Maybe she doesn't know what martyr means. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she thinks that like
martyr means villain.
Maybe it just means guy. Maybe martyr just means he's the guy. And under that reasoning, we can all agree that he's the guy.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what the word means, otherwise, like you wouldn't be surprised that people are upset by your usage of it. It's a disingenuous argument, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't know. But at least she's owning up enough to it that she won't take the video down. She's saying, "No, I did it, so I may as well keep it up there. Everybody's hating me."
Oh, so the only thing that makes her worth watching to anybody in the world, she's willing to leave up there because it's all about her narcissism. I totally believe that.
Wait, but she's a beauty pageant hostess and TV host. What do you mean? Why would you think she's a narcissist?
Okay, did you see her story where she was talking about how she did the state of Alabama a favor by being the first black Miss Alabama?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that she had to get talked into it because she thought it was too much pressure. I mean, this one was a loon.
Yeah.
But when you said the loser of the week, I thought for sure you were going to go to Bernie Sanders and his shameless sellout to Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
I mean, it's fairly
this woman,
sad, right?
She must be president. After he tells us for a year, she can't be president.
Did you see him during that speech? He was sweating his ass off. He's standing there with like a towel like moistening off his head. I've never seen him do that before. He knew that I'm really disappointing my followers in the world, and shit's gonna go wrong for me. I got to get this flop sweat off of my forehead.
He's just trying to stay alive. You know, there's a long history of people that have strange things happen if they say the wrong thing about you know who. And her husband.
Well, now you're narrowing it down to like maybe that's too much to say. Hey, Carl, do you feel we live in too free of a world where we can say these types of things?
Some would say.
Yeah, because like you basically.
I called out the old rumor the other day on my Facebook wall about Ryan Seacrest and Merv Griffin.
So you alleged that Merv Griffin would fuck Ryan Seacrest and he would do
under
it for,
duress.
Like, under duress? I don't know. I think that if you're doing that for American Idol, you have to get fucked in the ass with a smile. I mean, there's no way that he's going to keep you around and
yeah. No. I was saying that it was under duress for Merv or anybody that has to fuck Ryan Seacrest because I can't imagine.
So you're saying
no? He's just horrible.
We have a couple of sexual allegations going on here. We have what you're talking about here with Merv Griffin allegedly having sex with Ryan Seacrest.
Yes.
Now, which one of them is in duress in your scenario?
I mean, anybody that has to have sex with Ryan Seacrest is under duress.
I don't know that that's true.
But then again, if you're Ryan Seacrest having sex with Merv Griffin, who's 60 years older than you, that's pretty.
That seems like
that's a lot of commitment there to get your no talent ass and your no talent smile and your incredibly bland personality into a position for
Now,
success.
are you talking about Gretchen Carlson?
Her too, yes.
Yeah, because, her whole thing is this week has come out that she says that Roger Ailes has been sexually inappropriate to her for years, and that she basically lost her position with the company because she wouldn't fuck him.
She wouldn't assume the position?
Yeah. She has, there's a lot of them who are getting fucked for airtime. I mean,
that explains a lot about Fox. Have you seen the women there?
I think it's, okay, so you're talking about Fox Broadcasting with Ryan Seacrest and Fox News.
Fox News, yes.
But I think that this probably happens at NBC and CBS and other places as
Rachel
well.
Maddow?
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. There's a whole other can of worms opening there.
Yeah, I don't think that that's actually
my God.
happening. So Carl has taken over this week and helped me book a guest.
Yes.
For long-term viewers and listeners of the show, there should be no surprise that guest was walking in the studio right now, just like he always would, Carl, why don't you introduce our guest
Our
this
esteemed
evening?
guest. He is a very frequent guest host on another podcast of mine, and really funny comic, very talented man. He's also, I forget if he's a Muppeteer in training or actually is a Muppeteer. We're going to hear all about that as well. And he always seems to have like some odd yet intellectual story involving some sort of bizarre drug experimentation. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Sina Amedson.
Hi.
Hey, Sina, how are you? I'm Jake.
Nice to meet you, Jake. I'm
Sina.
Sina. Yeah, Sina. Yeah.
Sina, like the pro wrestler?
Exactly. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that he's famous because when I was growing up, he wasn't around, and so the closest reference I would have is I'd say Xena, the warrior princess, and that's not,
Sure, not the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice to be
bigger
like
bicep or bigger
bigger chest maybe.
some chest on Cena.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
steroids.
So it's nice to have like a masculine reference to be like, yeah, I'm like John Cena, But yeah.
Is it actually pronounced Cena, or have you given into the trend since his name is so popular? That's really
it's
Sina.
Well, in Farsi you would say Sina, but like in English it's always been Sina, like since I was a kid, just because that's
a likely story. I believe you though.
Great.
Yeah.
Now
So
open up a new can of worms.
Carl's talking to me about reasons we can have this guy in here, and he referenced it there. Muppeteering.
So yeah, there was I don't know how much of the story you want, but basically about a year.
All of it. 40%.
40%. A year ago, exactly. Actually, it was like June of last year. A friend of mine sent me an email. A friend, not like anyone in the business, just like a friend with internet access, just sends me an email, and she's like, "Hey, Jim Henson is looking for diversifying their puppeteers or whatever. They're taking submissions. Do you want to submit?" And I was like, "I don't really. It's not a world I know anything about. Like I've done comedy for the last 12 years, but I don't know." Anything about puppeteering, and so I was like, "But thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't feel like I belong in that world." And she was like, "Well, just send in headshot and resume, stupid. It doesn't cost you anything." So I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, what could it hurt?" So I sent a resume, and I get an email back from them saying, we've gotten thousands of submissions, and we're choosing 100 people to come audition, and we'd like you to be one of them." And I was like, "Oh, geez, I've screwed somebody over. Somebody who probably deserves this more than I do." And
but they're probably white.
Yeah, exactly.
Diversity.
Well, that's So they were. So apparently, I had no idea how grandiose in scope this was. I get to the studio, and first thing they give me is a pass that says puppeteer, and it says got Jim Henson's logo and everything on it. And I was like, I'm gonna keep this. The pass alone was worth the price of admission.
Is this the place over there with Kermit on top of the building?
Exactly, La Brea. It's the old. So I got this whole tour and everything. It's the old Charlie Chaplin Studios, and then they turned it into the Muppet Studios. I guess it must have been in the 70s or 80s. But,
is that Kermit in
it's Charlie Chaplin?
He's kind of dressed like him on purpose.
It's a tip of the hat to Charlie Chaplin.
I did not realize that.
Nobody
that's
ever
why
does.
It was like that.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the old Charlie Chaplin Studios, and actually, this actually goes into the story. So I get there, and I'm kind of wandering around now. If you've ever been to you've been to studios like Paramount and Warner Brothers, sure. It's a really weird kind of like little mini city. You know what I mean? Like you go to these places and it's like tall buildings, and it's kind of like a whole bustling like beehive of activity. And you get to Henson Studios, and it's like a little Hobbit village. Like there's no tall buildings. Everything, no buildings taller than 2 feet or 2 stories, and 2 feet. No buildings taller taller than 2 stories, and I mean, like, you've got like dinosaurs in the bushes and like Muppets,
What?
yeah, like there's really like not real dinosaurs, but like statues of like and like gargoyles perched on the edge of a building, like all these like really cool like it's just kind of like your inner 10-year-old.
Cute little touches.
Yeah, it feels like a really cool, welcoming, warm place. And so I was like, my inner 10-year-old's like squealing, like, oh, this is so cool, like, and the bathroom is like Miss Piggy or Kermit, and it's like just like these cute little Jason Stewart does not want to stay on the wall.
Can't blame him.
No,
he's too outgoing for that.
Yeah, he's too flamboyant for that
wall.
wall.
That's the 4th time he's fallen to.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a double entendre in there. But anyway, so I get there, and then I'm looking around. I don't really know where to go, but I see these like little tables, like picnic tables with umbrellas, and there's like 5 or 6 brown guys, and I was like, that must be where that must be the diverse thing.
Sure.
So I go and meet with them, and I'm like, hey, do you guys, is this the diversity thing? And they're like, yeah. And these guys are all like professional puppeteers. Like these guys, this has been their dream, like to work at this place. Like I'm like, so what do you guys, where do you guys learn puppeteering? This guy's like, oh, I was on Broadway. I was in The Lion King on Broadway. So other guy's like, oh, I was Iago in the traveling, Aladdin, Broadway traveling Aladdin performance. And this other guy was like, oh, I worked on the Iron Horse or War Horse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like these guys are all like these like big professional puppeteers from Toronto, Atlanta, New York, and they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, just down La Brea, and I'm 15 minutes late. I'm always late. So and yes, you should have known that, Carl. Anyway, so so it's a Persian thing. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, I really felt like I wandered off the tour. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I really belong here. Like, these guys are all professionals, and they give me a tour of the place. Like, these guys didn't work there, but they knew everything about the place. Like, and this guy's like, that's Charlie Chaplin's footprints right there. This is the old Chaplin Studios. La Brea used to be narrower, then they extended it, so they had to move the studio back, and there used to be a road here, and, that gargoyle. They're telling me the backstory on everything, and that's Charlie Chaplin as Kermit. They're telling me everything, and I'm like, wow, this guy's like, this is this guy's life. This is a whole new world. I've kind of like been transported through the wardrobe.
Is this where he was working when Jim Henson was like alive and around?
Chaplin?
No. Jim Henson.
Oh yeah, Jim Henson. Yeah, that's the Jim Henson studio.
So he was actually working there when he was alive.
Well, he died
right?
in the 90s, I think. So
like 1990, yeah.
Yeah, so the studio, has been around for I assume longer than that. That's a good question, but I do know that everybody, like Brian Henson and all the other guys, were all there. I mean, we got to go see their offices and stuff, and that was really kind of cool. Like, it's not these people.
So how long from the first day you show up do they like put a puppet in your hand and they have to like show that here's some puppet skills?
Well, so that's the thing. So I show up and these guys are all talking about their puppeteering skills, and we're all kind of hanging out. I had no idea what this audition entailed, but they said clear 2 hours of your day. So I'm like, 2 hours is a long time for an audition. After we're all kind of getting acquainted with each other, this tall guy comes out, a tall skinny guy. Turns out his name's Alan.
Big Bird.
Yeah, Alan Troutman. But Big Bird's actually a woman. I forget her name.
No, it's a guy named Carol Spinney, but it's a man.
Oh, Carol's a woman. Carol's a man. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I knew the name. But anyway, yeah, it's Alan Troutman, who I later found out is this legendary puppeteer with the company. He's got everyone there has like this really friendly vibe. Like he's tall and spindly and just kind of like, hey guys, like you feel like this guy could be a children's show host, And he's like, come on in, we're ready to get started. And he takes us into this big sound stage, and there's a big like picnic table, like just a long picnic table with like 50 puppets on it, just like all these different like characters, and nobody that you would recognize, They must have been like B characters and whatever. And they're like, everyone grab a puppet, stand in front of these mirrors. They have these big, tall body length mirrors. And they're like, stand in front of the mirrors, and everyone get into puppet ready position or puppet neutral position. And I have, I'm like never, I don't know what I'm doing, So I'm just like, just don't be the first to do anything, Like I'm just gonna watch everybody first. So I get at the end of the line. And everybody grabs their puppet, and they all kind of stand, sideways, profile against the mirror, and then they got their hand up, like they're gonna do a cream hook shot or whatever, and a sky hook, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna, using the puppet, go ahead and tell us, what your puppeteering experience is, and so the one guy goes down the aisle, Iago and Lion King and blah 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 blah, and he had 15 years experience on Broadway and blah blah blah, and it comes to me, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, first time with my hand in a puppet's butt, sir. No idea what I'm doing. I figured I'm here because I'm funny and I'm brown, so I might as well just rely on that because I'm not going to win them over with my puppeteering. And they all kind of like, they were like, all right, this really nice guy, his name's Drew. He looks a lot like Mark Hamill. They were like, Drew, why don't you take some one-on-one time with Cena, and then we'll take the other guys and go a different way. And so Drew comes over and he's like, take that puppet off. You picked probably one of the hardest puppets to use. You know, it's got like these long spindly arms.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the variety of puppets were. Were there like pretty simple puppets and more complicated ones?
All over the place. Like there was like birds with no arms. There was just like a bird with just basically a mouth, just like a couple of wings. And then there were like, the one I picked was like this, like I thought he looked cool as a dude that had a cigarette in his hand, but that's like apparently that's like a prop. So like it had like a little nozzle where you push the button and it would smoke, like you know, and like it had all these like, and the arms, long spindly arms are harder to maneuver, and like the guy was like really tall, so it's just like all these different, you know, things that were involved with that. And I should also mention I have goofy fingers. I had webbed fingers when I was born, and they're like kind of arthritic, so I'm like, puppeteering really isn't in my wheelhouse, you know, like this is just, you know, holding onto a pencil is hard enough for me. So I really didn't know what I was doing, and so Drew pulls me over and he's like, take that puppet off, you know, let's just kind of work with, you know, and he's like, main things we're looking for is eye focus, make sure that the puppet is looking in the direction that you want it to be looking, and that's something you don't realize, but like a puppet's head and its eyes are all kind of attached. So if you flap your hand open and close like you would imagine a puppet would, his eyeballs will keep flipping up and down. So you can't do that. So you have to move only your thumb. So it's like you're flicking water off of your wrist, and you have to keep your top four fingers level while you move the bottom fingers. Otherwise, the eyeballs are just kind of flipping up and down like that. So, are we on? So I can do visual stuff? Yeah. So that's something that they, you know, he was like, so make sure you're not doing that, you know, flapping your head. And, you know, he taught me a few tricks or whatever. And he's like, dude, I think you're a natural. I think you got it. He's like, you picked it up really fast. And he's like, mostly just be funny. And he's like, what they're really looking for is don't be Saturday morning clean. You know, he's like, have a little edge to your humor. And that's what they're looking for. And he's like, that's the tip I'll give you. I was like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the other guys, and they're all doing like these advanced puppeteering moves over across the room. And I'm just sitting here. And he's like, open your mouth when you want to talk and close it when you don't, you know, so.
I bet in that situation, though, they have a lot more guys who are just dope at moving a puppet around, and less guys who are like, oh, that's funny.
Well, that's exactly what ended up happening. So they, after this, about an hour of this, they're like, all right, guys, Alan comes back into the room. He's like, we're going into the theater or the screening room. And he's like, you know, now it's going to be a one-on-one audition. And so I'm like the fifth to go. And everyone's like, now these puppeteers, and this is where it actually came to my benefit. I wasn't nervous because I felt like just being there was kind of more than I deserved. You know, I'm like, I don't really belong here. So every minute that they don't kick me off their lot has been a victory for me. You know, I don't.
Maybe I'll see a Fraggle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, you know, maybe I'll meet some. But these guys, their whole life has been building up, like, accumulating to this moment. So you should have seen these guys. And it was weird to be an outsider looking in to see these guys trembling. And I mean, I'm sure I looked the same way when I like auditioned for Argo or whatever. I'm like, this is the job that I've always wanted. And it's like, but you know, these guys are like, you know, my whole life is built up to this moment, and they're just shaking and pacing and nervous and whatever. And they're going in and coming back out. And then, you know, after they come out, they were kind of like circled up in that courtyard talking. And then I go in. And I see a black dude, a dude that did look familiar, that turned out to be Patrick Bristow. He's I recognize him from Austin Powers. He got a small part in Austin Powers, but he's a character actor. He's in 1,000 things. But he's also in the Groundlings, and I studied the Groundlings forever, so I'm sure I've seen him there. But he was the only one that looked familiar. Everyone else, tall, skinny, white guys. Beautiful girl with big boobs, turned out to be Brian Henson's assistant. And yeah, that's very distracting, by the way. And so I get in there, and they got another table of puppets. And something else Drew told me is, he's like, try to find something with a small mouth, you know, and they had a little gopher with a really small mouth. So I grabbed that. He's like, it's a little easier to manipulate that way. And so I grab the gopher, and I get up in front of the mirror, in front of the camera, and they're like, we're going to record this, you know, and they're like, we're just going to ask you to do some characters and stuff. And improv and character stuff, that's what I know. I don't know puppeteering, but the rest is, you know. And he's like, just have fun. You know, he's like, don't worry about the technicalities of the puppeteering. Just make sure that your characters and stuff show. And so I just kind of knocked it out of the park as far as that went. You know, like I just had them laughing from beginning to end. And then I ended up walking out. And, you know, they had me do, like, these different characters, and they're like, can you do, you know, accents and dialects? And we got into this big kind of, like, discussion about what's Farsi and what's that sound like. And so I did a little bit of that, and they were like, oh, okay. And they're like, do you speak any other language? I'm like, I speak a little Spanish and whatever. So, you know, we did some weird different characters, and they're like, awesome. And then, you know, they were like, you know, nice to meet you, and I left. I go outside, and the puppeteers are all kind of huddled around, and they were, as soon as I come out, they were like, dude, what was going on in there? We could hear them laughing from out here, you know. And I was like, oh, I don't know, just doing some characters, having some fun. And they were like, that's crazy. They were like, you know, Kevin Clash was in there, right? And I was like, who's Kevin Clash? You know, like the dude from the band or something? You know, like and they were like, Kevin Clash, dude, Elmo was in there. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, oh, that must have been the black guy, right? And they were like, yeah, the black guy. And they were like looking at me like I'm insane. Like what? How did this guy even get here, let alone get, you know, like apparently have a good audition? And then I was like, yeah, the tall, skinny white guy, he was really messing with me in my audition. Like he was blocking the camera so I couldn't see the monitor. And they were like, the tall, skinny white guy was messing with you? Brian Henson was messing with you? And I was like, oh, is that Brian Henson? I was like, cool, yeah, I guess so, you know, or whatever. And these guys were like,
dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I Forrest Gump my way into this thing.
Wow.
I get an email like a month later, and they're like, hey, we'd like you to participate in our diversity program. And basically they took a small group of comedians and decided to teach them puppeteering, and then they took a group of puppeteers and tried to teach them comedy. I think they learned that it was easier to teach a puppeteer comedy in a short amount of time than it was to teach a comedian how to become a puppeteer with 10 years of experience. Sure, this seems like
a very unnatural position, just watching you do it now. I didn't
Yeah.
understand the idea of, like, puppet neutral, like, when we first started talking about it.
Yeah.
But I guess you're really working, like, above your head. Like,
yeah, you can't. I mean, like, you have a range of motion that's limited if you do it like this and what. But sometimes you have to. I mean, sometimes you'll, like, after doing stuff with them, you realize, like, sometimes you're hiding behind a block and you have to just kind of be like, you know, like whatever you can get, you know. And it's all done with monitors. There's two things that were really challenging with it. One, the monitor work, number one. So what Henson did that revolution, I learned all this at Henson. I didn't know, all I knew up until this point was, I like puppets, they're funny, you know, like that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about the technical stuff. And then I learned that Henson revolutionized puppeteering in the sense that pre-Henson, puppeteering all took place behind a box. Like they built a box with a little stage, and the puppeteer hid behind the box, and he would.
It's like what you would see at like a little kid's like
exactly,
show or
like
something.
a puppet show. Yeah. They build like a little mock theater, and then the puppeteer hides behind the curtain and does the puppeteering. Or if you're a marionette, you stand above it. What Henson did, and even on television, if they had puppeteering, they would build the box and put the puppeteer in the box and just frame the television around the box, which was really strange that you didn't. I mean, you would think that this is common sense. You look back, you know, hindsight 2020, but like apparently, like it took kind of a revolutionary brain for Henson to say, well, the television is the box now. We don't need to put another box inside the box. Just use the monitor, whatever the framing of the television
makes a lot of sense.
That's the new box, and then this way, puppets can interact with human beings. You know, you can now have them. You know, and so what he did was he would have a camera set up like you do, and then this monitor that I'm seeing myself on, that would be the monitor that the puppeteer uses, so he could see when he's in and out of frame, you know, and whatnot. And you'll notice as I'm doing this on this monitor here, if I see my arm start to look like it's leaning, you know, like to one direction or whatever, your natural instinct is to pull it in the opposite direction. However, what the camera sees is mirror of what you see. That's so, like, if I think I'm raising my right hand, the camera sees me raising my left hand. You know, so what that ends up doing is like you're trying to balance a puppet, and you're just kind of going all over the place. Yeah, so your brain has to flip a switch and
kind of like the video game, like
the reverse, like the targeting or whatever.
Yeah, same kind of idea in some way, I would imagine. Hey, we got to go to actually a break. I want to come back on the other side and find out like what you're doing with it today, and the other parts of this adventure, and bring up a point about puppeteering that I've always been interested in.
Yeah.
So this will be good.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the other side, and we'll be back. So enjoy these fine commercials and learn more about other programming here at Zina.tv.
I start. Hi, I'm Moxie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're the ladies of Suicide Girls Radio, the world's leading BYOB radio show. Pour a glass of your favorite tipple and tune in on Wednesday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of free nipples. Oh, just flash it would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? People think flashing your tits is easy, right? And it's actually kind of hard.
A hot nothing.
We out here.
That's what we talking about. Absolutely nothing.
Thursdays, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
A hot nothing on Z Hollywood TV.
That was perfect.
That ain't mine. That ain't mine. That ain't mine.
The name that will stand the test of time. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Zina.tv, Grand Theft Audio, Jake Belcher, with my special co-host today, Mr.
Carl Kozlowski.
And continuing his story of his kind of adventures through a diversity program with Jim Henson, Sina.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. Let's jump back in.
I didn't realize Sina.
Yeah, they're very close.
Yeah, that's another reference I can make now. So, I got the email, and they said, we'd like you to come out. And the teachers turned out to be Kevin Clash. So Elmo was my teacher for the next, supposed to be originally, originally supposed to be 3 months, but they said.
Did you try to tickle him?
I tried
Yeah,
so hard.
I would bet.
I think he liked it. But he.
That's the rumor.
It's so funny.
I don't know.
If you look at him, you would never imagine that voice comes out of that man. He's a big black guy, and you're like, he does. But when during the course,
does he ever do any off the record joking around, with the voice saying terrible things, like?
No, I never got anything like that. But he is really cool about, like, he would just pick up a puppet, like he'd be trying to teach us how to do song and dance, and we're all kind of struggling to manipulate the puppet. And he just grabs a puppet and just does like a song from one of your childhood favorite movies, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm watching this, and it just transforms. Like, you're going like, how do you even possibly make this puppet look alive? And he just grabs it, and he's like, and just brings this thing to life and sings the song, and you're like, everyone's just kind of crying.
So you can see how he's
incredible,
beloved.
Well, he started when he was 10 years old, like building his own puppets and stuff like that. There was a guy in our program that was 16 years old.
I don't want to say that's creepy.
But
I won't say that's creepy.
Well,
what I find creepy is, and I still want more of, is why everybody's crying.
Well, no, because when these guys are all like the puppeteering their whole life, you know what I mean? Spend their whole life, and they're now watching Kevin Clash 3 feet away from them, sing a song from their favorite puppet.
Were you crying?
I definitely. There were moments where I was like, "This is really magical. Like this is like this." Yeah, I'm
I
not
would
that
probably
jaded.
cry on. I know somebody who would cry on any snippet of the Rainbow Connection.
Oh yeah.
Period. Yeah.
Well, that person was probably raped to the song or something. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say.
Something terrible happened to them.
Childhood drama.
This doesn't sound good. Like, get this guy some counseling.
Someday.
No. Now you've made them cry.
Oh my God.
Way to go. Those aren't happy
Carl.
tears.
You're nasty.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really bizarre. But you know what he did do is my ex-girlfriend, her nephew is a big Elmo fan, and his whole room's all Elmo and Sesame Street and whatever. And
he's 35.
No, he's like a baby.
Kidding,
and yeah, I know. But he called him and did the voice over the phone, and it was like really cool. Like I was like, that's so cool. I mean, like
That is
really
neat.
He's a really cool guy. Like here's the thing. Like I was talking about this with some people where I'm like, it would be kind of cool to be a famous puppeteer because like I met Dan Castellaneta from The Simpsons, and I was like, and I know what he looks like because I'm a huge fan, but like most people don't, like most people, nobody was coming up to him and approaching him.
Okay, in his situation, he can prove that he's Homer real quick.
Yeah.
You can't just prove that you're Elmo. You
do the voice.
You can put your hands up and be like, oh, this is how Elmo moves around. I mean, that doesn't work. Like,
well, maybe. Although these guys all seem to have puppets with them all the time. Like,
whoa.
Yeah. Like, I mean, these guys, it's a total, I'm
We're
telling
children.
you, this is a whole different world. I mean,
Yeah.
like, this is a world that you and I, like, it wasn't until I was immersed in it that I was like, this is, I mean, it is a little creepy, but it's also like just really weird, like you're like, this is weird to the outsider, but to
so
these
are
guys,
you still manipulating a puppet now?
Kevin had a puppet built for me, so the way the program was working is it was a 3-month program, and then they were cutting us after I think 3 weeks. They were going to cut our group in half. After 3 weeks, they called me. Kevin called me on the phone, and he's like, "Look, I got to talk to you." And I was like, "What's up?" And apparently, I was the only one that got this phone call. He's like, "Look, don't tell anybody about this, and I guess it's probably okay to talk about now. It's the program's over." But he's like, "You are such a pain in my ass." And I was like, "What did I do?" I'm like, "I'm trying my best here." And he's like, "Look, man," and he's like, "You are so damn funny, but we can't." He's like, "The program really needs your puppeteering to be at a different place than where it is." He's like, "You're good." But he's like, "But we need you to kind of be like 10 years in good, or whatever." And he's like, "And we need to cut you, but we can't cut you." He's like, we all think you're so funny. So he's like, "I'm buying you a puppet. I'm having a puppet built for you to go home and practice with at home, so you can kind of, you were here, 6 hours a week." And he's like, "And I want you to spend the rest of the time at home practicing." And he's like, "I need you to get your puppeteering up to where we can use you at the Henson Studios because we really want to use you." And I was like, wow, now the pressure's on. I'm like, geez. Up until this point, I was just kind of like, I'm just goofing around,
a larky
having fun.
goof, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I was expecting to get, I wasn't expecting to make it. Then I was expecting to get cut in the first round. And then he's like, so what we did was we were supposed to have 2 classes going on, a comedy class and a puppeteering class full of people that were good puppeteers and good comedians, and they were going to move on into these classes. And he's like, what we've done is, we've talked to Brian Henson, and he's like, we've added a class for you, or because of you, and a couple of other people. And he's like, basically, we're going to keep a lot more people on because you've impressed us and you show promise and we're investing in you, so don't screw it up, And he's like, so just, so we're going to build you this puppet. And he ended up building a puppet for everybody in the class. And they were originally saying we could buy them for $50, and then he got drunk at a party one night, and he was like, "You guys can all have them for free." And we were like, "Thanks." And yeah, the workshop went on.
It seems kind of a dick move to hold you for $50 anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say that, but also at the same time, like, people are like, "How much did you pay for this?" And I'm like, "Nothing." Like, they gave us free dinner every night, and 3 hours of puppeteering a week and 3 hours of free comedy workshops a week from like world class. I mean, like, people would pay
that's some
a lot
nice
of money.
Stuff. There's no
yeah,
doubt.
I mean, yeah. In my mind, I was thinking, I got to pay for my puppet, but at the same time, I'm like, $50 considering the training and all this stuff that I can put on my resume.
Sure, but all that training, like, they threw in for nothing.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna be like, hey, $50, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess the money was going to go to the guy who built them. It wasn't like they were profiting.
And they didn't have $50 themselves. But I get it.
But that's exactly what ended up happening. I think
good.
he felt the same way. I think he was like, "Screw it. Why are we charging these guys $50?" And I guess.
So did you take it home and like?
Yeah, he's still at my house. His name's Zach. Kevin named him, and he named all of our puppets. And then his name's Zach, and he's in a plastic bag in my closet, and I haven't used him in a while. But yeah, like I practiced with him for a few hours every night for a while.
Did they say, "Look, you got good, but not 10 years in good"? You were like 5 years in good. Did they tell you that type of inroads?
No,
you
they
made
didn't say what level. He said I had a lot of work I needed to do. He said I wasn't quite.
Is it bouncy eyes? Is that what you would hear? Because that's the thing you know to fix.
The monitor work was the hardest hump for me. Was because they do a lot of stuff where they're like, you need to be able to, like, they would put like have like a broomstick and move it around the monitor, and you need to be able to follow with your eyes, and that was really hard for me because I'm like.
Did they ever think about reversing the image themselves?
That's what I said. I'm like, you have the technology to do that. Why are we still doing this? And they're like, because we all learned the other way, and all the legendary puppeteers don't want to learn another way, so now we all have to learn their way. So I'm like, well, why didn't you you have the technology?
Yeah, just one monitor for me. The rest of them could be the exact same for you guys.
My
just one monitor for me.
FaceTime on my phone reverses it. So,
that's right.
It's like, why can't we use that technology? I think eventually it's going to go that way. I just worked on a puppet project in Utah, actually, and they all had reverse monitors. So I'm like, oh.
So it's coming.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
someone's already thought of what I instantly thought of as a fix to that.
It's just Henson. Henson is like, we're stuck in our ways.
Sure.
But they're also very pure to they're all very pure to what Jim did. Like they're like, Jim created something, and to honor his memory, we all kind of do it in the same way. And I think. I don't think it's holding anybody back, but it definitely does add a challenge to learning what they do, to learning things that way. But also, I guess a lot of the puppeteers that were like, I've been doing puppeteering for 10 or 15 years or whatever, and now I have a certain credibility by saying I've learned at Henson. Like now I've got like a whole new thing. That workshop was supposed to go 3 months. They ended up extending it for us, like another 3 months. So we ended up spending 6 months. Whoa. Free dinners, free training, parties with the Henson Company.
What type
for
of
6
stuff
months.
would they serve for dinner?
Really good stuff, like spaghetti and meatballs, like roasted chicken.
Pig.
Well, you gotta figure there's like frogs and pigs. You gotta figure there was about 15 of us in the workshop, and they had like a woman, I think her name was Juju, and she would just make us, like, she was like this ethnic woman, and she would just make us amazing food like every night. It was amazing. Like, it's really like this. The way they do things at Henson is unlike any other studio in the world. Like, it feels like you're at home with your family rather than on a studio with executives or whatever. I mean, even when we went on like tours of like Brian Henson's office and I'm so embarrassed. I can't remember his sister's name, but like I think Heather Henson. Like they have offices there, and they like gave us tours of them. And it's not like, it doesn't look like any work is being done. It looks like someone's playing with dolls. Like it's just all these like figurines and just stuff that like Brian or Jim made, and stuff like that. It's just such a, your inner 10-year-old will never stop screaming when you get there. Like it's easy to kind of like sit outside and laugh about it, but once you get there, you just shut up and you laugh and you're like,
I'm
this
sure
is so amazing.
it had to have been very interesting and
it's
obviously
life-changing.
the type of thing that can't happen obviously anywhere else. I mean, they're the best at it.
Yeah.
I imagine as you're talking through this, I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to like the pro wrestling world and how people do things a specific way because one company dominated things and auditions, and how a lot of people who actually go on and become very successful at it are not the ones who trained since they were a kid, but somebody who had a different skill. So I hope that you actually keep up with it and try to like take them out of the bag.
Yeah,
and,
I really should. I
use
think
some
about
of that teaching they gave you.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I realized I'm like, I now have an in at a studio, at a major studio.
Sure.
Like when I email them, they email me back. Like I have their phone numbers. I can call Kevin and talk to him on the phone.
You should talk to them about their animation department.
Do they have an animation department?
Yeah, they do Henson cartoons. Not everything is like a puppet above your head.
Yeah.
And if they like you, they think you're funny.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can I go over to where like we just do characters and draw them?
Well, they did. I think they did do. They did say that all of our work was being archived and kept in like a vault or whatever with Brian.
Because it sounds
or
like
whatever.
it's like the makings of some type of a reality show where they start pitting like people against each other for jobs.
We said that the whole time. We were like, this should be a reality show, like this. And some of the guys actually did go on. Like one of the guys in my group is now doing their live show Puppet Up, which he was one of the guys that was, a puppeteer originally, and then they taught him comedy. A few of the guys are going on, like the 16-year-old kid that was in my group, he's auditioning for their movies and stuff. What I was thinking was, I'm a writer, I'm a comedian, I can write, and I was like, why don't I try to pitch a movie script or something? So I was like, hey, why don't we do like a puppet zombie movie, like wouldn't that be cool or whatever? But I mean, I don't know, I never got very far with that.
Maybe you should do something about like some guy who's trying to break into the puppeteering industry.
My story.
And how hard it is to like watch all that stuff.
It is. Well, it made me feel like a fraud because I thought I was a puppet fan until you meet guys that are real Muppet fans and they know they know the puppeteers behind all your favorite puppets. They're like, oh, that was Frank Oz, and I'm like, who? And they're like,
Yoda, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only like puppeteer. Him and Henson are the only two names I could. I think pull out. Carl, could you pull out the name of another puppeteer?
Another one I would probably say.
Well, you said Carol earlier.
Yeah, Carol. Well, Carol Spinney is. Yeah,
sure,
that's
had one.
Big Bird.
You had one.
He also
Good
does
job.
Oscar the Grouch.
Who does?
Carol Spinney also does Oscar the Grouch. But I don't know about competitors. I don't know. There's not really a whole lot of competition for the Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Well, and even the
number
puppet.
ones.
I learned that the puppeteering world is pretty small, so it's not like Henson just has their puppeteers. Like those guys go off and work on other projects.
Sure,
and stuff.
like they own everything. Like Lucasfilm,
Exactly.
if you're doing special effects, they're probably from
Industrial Light and Magic. Yeah, they're going to work on your film or whatever. Yeah.
We've run out of time here this week.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
man.
this time went super, super fast. Carl, do you have any shows you'd like to promote tomorrow?
Tomorrow night at the Muse on 8th, I've got a show. It's 8 o'clock called Comedy Cabaret, and comics have to perform a set and then sing a song, and Sina will be there.
I will.
With
Do you know what song will you be performing?
I'm going to be singing Empire State of Mind, but not singing. I'm going to do the rapping portion
it, baby.
of it, and then we got another comic who's going to do the singing
Leah
portion.
Knauer is going to do the Alicia Keys part while he does
Leah's
Jay-Z.
the best. She's a co-host here
Is that
on
right?
Grand Theft, but she couldn't make it this week.
Awesome, yeah.
She's great. Incredible. How about yourself, sir? Where can people learn more about you and that type of jazz?
Well, you can go to sexysina.com. It's SINA. That's my website. I'm going to have an album probably dropping soon. I recorded it a while ago. It's just being edited. And
have you thought about doing an album with puppets? Like
That's
a
not a bad
video
idea.
with puppets?
I really should incorporate. I mean, it's like, I read Steve Martin's biography, and he's like, you use everything. Everything that you've ever learned, you end up using. And I really shouldn't just
he
put
still
that
plays
skill
banjo.
away.
He still
he does it all.
juggles.
Yeah,
I mean,
all of that stuff. If you read his book, like he learned how to lasso when he was a kid, and he ended up using that in like Three Amigos. I mean, it's just everything comes back.
You gotta
really
use it all.
Why shelf the skill? Yeah, I've thought about it. I definitely do play around and make like little videos for myself every once in a while and stuff. So I should do more of that. We've made like little sketches between me and the group. We all kind of stayed in touch, and we would meet like once a week for a while and make sketches and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll probably keep doing it with stuff and stuff like that. But yeah, you can check out my website. You can check out my album. There's a show called Roast Battle that's coming to Comedy Central this month on July 24th through the 28th.
It looks dope.
And it's really cool. I'm in the promos for that. I'm not in the actual show, but hopefully if the show does well, I'll be in the next few episodes or something. So
Good luck on that.
Thank you.
Hope that all works out. And Carl, do you have like a Twitter or any of that type of jazz?
Not really.
You
Just that Comic Cause, but I don't. I put a lot of my ideas up on my Facebook wall. Carl Kozlowski.
It's a mess.
Always putting a rant up there. Yeah.
All right. What do we have going on here? Well, there's always a lot of debate going on your stuff because it's
I believe in pissing people off.
You do believe in that for sure.
Yes, I do.
Also, I'll ask you this off the air, but are you having that party on Saturday?
No, unfortunately. One of the bands, their guitar player got a gig in New York City, and
I
he
said
was
it
paid
ask
for
off
3
the
hours.
air.
Okay,
I don't want to
not having it.
embarrass you if the party didn't happen.
No,
That'd be
it's not
terrible,
happening.
man.
It'll be postponed until September.
I wouldn't want to do that to you because,
I'll have a party Saturday. Let's go party.
You will?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Sexy Sina.
I used to do these like legendary what I called post roast parties because the comedy roast battle gets out at like 1:30 in the morning at
Yes,
the comedy
very late.
store, and everyone's kind of like jazzed and wants to talk
Sure,
about the
we
battles.
also want to fuck, but where's there to go?
Exactly, yeah. So I'd invite everyone over to my house. I used to spend like $500, $1,000 on these parties. Like I would
What?
cater them. Like I would I love to cook, so like I would make like homemade chips and guacamole. Like I would make the chips from scratch and make the guacamole
Whoa.
and like do like slow roasted pulled pork sandwiches. And
Yeah,
stuff.
we're doing this Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, come on over anytime you want. We'd go till like the sun comes up.
Hey, we got to wrap things up here. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in here to Grand Theft Audio on Zina.tv. You can check out a video that Carl and I did. You can check out the our adventures at the Peterson Museum, and you can also check out our interview with Tim Heidecker. And we haven't played it yet here, but our interview also with Brett Gelman and Jason Walliner. And our YouTube video, 5,000 views of our most recent interview. So pretty good, guys.
Nice.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Brant will be here. Leah will be here. And our special guest, Brian Scalaro. So I'm going to talk to him about the 100 best comics list. And we're going to chop that shit down and put it where it belongs. So come back next week, guys, here on Zina TV, the name that shall last the test of time.
I think, man.